Before we begin today's video, I would like to give a shout out to one of our newest subscribers, Connor Geigner. Thank you for subscribing, and welcome to the family. And now on with today's video. Greetings, my dear viewers. It is I, Drahon, and welcome back to Dungeons & Dragons Character Conversion, where we take a look at characters from across media and bring them into Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition as a playable character. And today we are looking at another one of the minifigures that can be found within Dungeons & Dragons past, the Young Titan. Sometimes called Young Male Titan. Titans are a member of the giant species that rank higher than the storm giants. Even though they do like to hang out with both the storm giants and the cloud giants. Anyway, they are higher ranking than storm giants. The young male titan that we see in this action figure is a part of Valor's Call, so there's most likely some story there, probably something to do with one of the villains of the Dungeons & Dragons universe. The fire giant, Metaflame, who we will be taking a look at later this week, so stay tuned for that. Perhaps Metaflame is going against the Ordning, or the hierarchy of giants, and the young Titan is trying to show his worth and trying to take down Metaflame with the help of Valor's Call. Who knows? I don't actually have a story for these action figures. This is just what I am gathering from the series. Anywho, enough speculation on story. Let's speculate how we can play as the young Titan. Starting things off with the point-buy system. Our strength will be a 15, dexterity will be an 11, constitution will be a 14, intelligence and charisma will each be a 10, with wisdom being a 12. Since we are talking about a race of giant folk, it makes perfect sense that we go with the Goliath race, giving us an increase to our strength and constitution. Our size is going to be medium, we'll have a speed of 30 feet, we have the Little Giant, Mountain-born, and Stone's Endurance features. We also have access to the languages of Common and one of our choice. I would recommend something similar to one of the other members of Valor's Call. Maybe even taking on the Orc language, since Titan is seen towering over the Orc assassin, Zarek. Moving on to our background, we're going with Giant Foundling, since we are a member of the Ordning. More specifically, higher ranking than Storm Giants, so with the Strike of the Giants feature, we are going with the Storm Strike. We also get proficiencies in Intimidation and Survival, as well as the language of Giants and one language of choice. I would say possibly Elf. Maybe even Dwarf. Who knows? Moving on to our class, we're going with Barbarian. This will give us a 1d12 hit die, starting hit points of 12 plus our Constitution modifier, and additional hit points equal to 1d12 plus our Constitution modifier per Barbarian level gained after the first. For our proficiencies, we will be proficient in light armor, medium armor, and shields, as well as simple and martial weapons. For saving throws, we are proficient in strength and constitution, with our skills being athletics and perception. We also have access to the features of rage and unarmored defense. At level 2, we get access to reckless attack and danger sense. Next, we have the 3rd level Barbarian, giving us access to Primal Knowledge, meaning we are now proficient in nature, and we get a Primal Path. Obviously, we are going with Path of the Giant, giving us access to Giant's Power. Since we're already proficient in the language of giants, we're going to choose a different language to be proficient in. For our cantrip, we're going with Druidcraft. We also get access to Giant's Havoc, giving us the ability Crushing Thrower and Giant Stature, allowing us to increase our size to large. And since we are a Goliath, we are considered to be huge for the purposes of our carrying capacity. At level 4, we are going to go ahead and increase our wisdom by 2 points. Why? Well, for the simple purpose that we need to be able to cast spells, more specifically, cleric spells. Which means we need to have access to cleric. We're going to start off our first level of cleric with a 1d8 hit die with extra hit points equal to 1d8 plus our constitution modifier per cleric level. Our spellcasting uses wisdom and we get a divine domain. We are serving a god of giants after all, and this is where things are going to get a little weird. We could go with the All-Father of Giants and just say our divine domain is the domain of knowledge, since that is the domain that the All-Father covers, giving us access to the domain spells of Command and Identify with the ability of Blessings of Knowledge. However, there is a god of Titans, and this deity has the domain of Twilight. Well, technically he is called the Twilight Spirit, but nevertheless, the progenitor of the Titans would be a divine domain of Twilight, giving us the domain spells of Fairy Fire and Sleep, with bonus proficiencies in Heavy Armor, Eyes of Night, and Vigilant Blessing. I would also recommend possibly the War Domain or the Tempest Domain, if you're into that. One of the spells we get from the Tempest Domain Cleric is actually very similar to a spell that is said to be used by the Titan. Though, we'll get more into that near the end of the video. Moving on to level 2 Cleric. When you are a Knowledge Domain Cleric, your Channel Divinity will include the Knowledge of the Ages. If you're a Twilight Domain Cleric, you will instead get the Channel Divinity of Twilight Sanctuary. Moving on to level 3 Cleric, our domain spells are going to be Augury and Suggestion for the Knowledge Domain, and Moonbeam and See Invisibility for the Twilight Domain. At level 4 Cleric, go ahead and increase your wisdom by 2 points. At level 5, we get access to the 5th level feature of Destroy Undead. For the Knowledge Domain, your domain spells are Non-Detection and Speak with Dead. For your Twilight Domain Cleric, your domain spells are the Aura of Vitality and Liament's Tiny Hut. For the Knowledge Domain Cleric, your Channel Divinity will increase to Read Thoughts when you become a level 6 Cleric. However, you do not get any bonus Channel Divinities for being a Twilight Domain Cleric. Instead, your 6th level ability is going to be Steps of Night, giving you the ability to fly while in dim light or in darkness, which a lot of Titans are said to be able to do. Well, they're able to levitate, but it's pretty darn similar. Moving on to level 5 Barbarian, we get access to the extra attack feature and fast movement. Level 6 Barbarians of the Giant Path get access to Elemental Cleaver. At level 7, your domain spells for the Knowledge Domain Cleric are going to be Arcane Eye and Confusion. With your Twilight Domain, your domain spells will be the Aura of Life and Greater Invisibility, which actually fits perfectly with the Titans, since they are said to go invisible. Which is kind of scary. Imagine just a giant invisible creature walking around. Anyway, moving on to level 8. The Knowledge Domain Cleric gets access to potent spellcasting, while the Twilight Domain Cleric gets access to Divine Strike. Additionally, you get access to Destroy Undead, getting a level up to a CR of 1, and we're going to go with the feat of Piercer instead of an ability score increase. This will increase our dexterity by 1 point, as well as giving us some additional features when dealing piercing damage. I decided to go with Piercer because the young male titan does have a giant spear with his figure. Moving on to level 9, your domain spells for the Knowledge Domain Cleric are Legend Lore and Scrying, while your Twilight Domain will give you access to Circle of Power and Mislead. Level 10 Clerics has access to Divine Intervention. At level 11, your Destroy Undead feature is increased to CR of 2. At level 12, instead of the ability score improvement, we are going with the Shield Master feat. And at level 14, your Destroy Undead feature is upgraded to a CR of 3. Now, that might be the end of the build, but not the end of the video, as we do have some spells to go over. For your recommended spells, I would recommend the following. For your cantrips, Guidance, Light, Mending, Sacred Flame, and Toll the Dead. For your first level spells, Command, Cure Wounds, Purify Food and Drink, and Shield of Faith. Second level spells, Calm Emotions, Enhance Ability, Hold Person, and Spiritual Weapon. For your third level spells, Dispel Magic and Revivify. For your fourth level spells, Freedom of Movement and Locate Creature. Fifth level will get Flame Strike and Greater Restoration. Sixth level spells, Heal and Hero's Feast. And finally, at level 7, we'll get Etherealness. I got Etherealness because it was one of those things that was listed in the Titan's description. In fact, there are a couple of spells that I was not able to collect for the Cleric spell list that are mentioned in the abilities of a Titan. Able to use Holy Smite, Meteor Swarm, Chain Lightning, capable of becoming invisible, which we get thanks to the Twilight Domain, Levitating, and be able to become ethereal at least twice a day. Since I wasn't able to get Meteor Swarm, Chain Lightning, or Holy Smite with the Cleric, an alternative build I can see for the young male Titan is, instead of taking 14 levels of Cleric, to instead invest your ability score increases into Charisma and grab the Divine Soul Sorcerer for 14 levels. At the end of that build, your Charisma should be a 16, with your Wisdom being a 12. I was originally actually going to have a Sorcerer build, but when the description of the Titan mentioned clerical spells, I decided to go with the Cleric instead. Then, after creating this build, I remembered Divine Soul Sorcerers existed. So, if you want to go with that build instead, I would highly encourage it. But with that being said, that is all for today's video. What did you think? Let me know in the comment section below, and let me know what your thoughts are about the relationship between the young Titan, Valor's Call, and the villainous Metaflame. Until next time, this has been Drehan, and I am offline.